Fight!
Welcome back. My name is Matt. This is Hidden Light. And okay, so we did this video about the best camera to shoot for your summer vibes, which is obviously, and of course, this little buddy. He's so cute. However, I can feel the animosity in the comments. I can understand why many of you might not appreciate the cheap plastic camera photographing for memories, for vibes, for disposable tones, and you want to know how this compares to a real camera. I got you. I could tell. I knew it was coming. So while we were shooting that video the other day, we shot the same or similar photos with this. I picked this Minolta SRT 101 with the 17 millimeter f3.5 psychotically wide angle lens to be a close / similar alternative to the 22 millimeter on this beautiful plastic point and shoot by Reto. The idea here is you're shooting two wide cameras and getting kind of the same moments. Obviously, we'll have to crop in on these to get a true comparison to the 22 on this, but the idea is like, okay, what if I wanted to take good pictures? Now, the SRT 101 is a stand-in for literally any somewhat inexpensive SLR. You could use your AE1, your K1000, your Nikon FM, your Canon Rebel, your like anything that's in like that $100 to $200 price range is great. You're gonna have to spend more money to get a similarly wide angle lens. Like the 17 millimeter lens that we have on this is like $200 on its own. But you could probably get away with like a 28 millimeter. Those are cheap. And aside from the drastic difference in heft and size, like I can put this in my pocket, I can put it in my pouch, and my pouch, which carries a roll of film and the camera and an adult beverage of your choice, any beverage of your choice, weighs less than this camera. So it's all about what you want. If you're into like higher quality photos and a big beefy feeling camera that you have to carry around, maybe you put a strap on it and it's banging all over the place. Or if you're into like just hanging out and having a good time and doing the stuff you do during summer anyway, but you also happen to have a cool film camera with you that you don't have to worry about breaking and you don't have to worry about it getting wet and you don't have to worry. That's kind of what we're going to look at today. So examples from the Reto Ultra Wide and Slim versus pick your SLR, generic SLR stand-in. Today, the SRT 101 with the 17 millimeter because we happen to have these things here for sale. And like if you wanted to buy them, you could, and we'll see what the results look like. Kind of exciting. It is not a fair comparison. This camera should outperform this camera. And similarly, if I wanted to get a very nice camera in on this, it should outperform both of them rather drastically. I have shot the same scenes that I shoot on this, and maybe we'll give you a little teaser at the end, you know, stay till the end, and we'll see what that looks like. But not a fair test, but I don't know, amusing, interesting. So let's go do some summer-related stuff with the two cameras. If you watched our last video, this is just that same video, but with also another camera. So let's see what we see. Let's go. Okay, so this experiment is really backfired on me. I will leave you to make your own conclusions as to how these images look side by side. I have both rolls here. I've made some comparisons. We're taking basically the full frame crop without me having to mess around with it. The results aren't even close. But I'm going to go through these. We'll do like a quick run through so that you can see, and then we'll talk about them a little bit. Bonus points if you watched last week's video, you'll be able to tell which images from this one are the Reto and which images are the SRT 101 with the attached 17mm lens, the $300 combo versus the $45 combo. Okay, so here's the images. I'm going to say very little about them and we'll just run through them. There's one comparison. Ooh, thunderstorm, you hear that? There's another image. That one's got a very clear winner. That came out better than it has any right to. This one I cheated because I have the ability to focus manually. On one of the cameras. This is a great shot. One of them is clearly better than the other. You can't even see how much harder I'm trying in this shot to hold up this girthy beast of a camera. Okay, yeah. It's got that like 9 beers in vibe. I love shots like this. I don't know why. Uh-huh. Not even close. This one surprised me, actually. But what do you do? So there's 13 frames out of the 18 or however many I actually shot on each camera. Okay, so let's go through them a little more in detail here. So one of them is wider than the other, right? The SRT's got a 17 on it, and this is a 22mm focal length. So you can tell without even having to do anything else that the slightly wider shot is the much better camera. You can also tell that that shot is always, without fail, sharper. It's got the better contrast and more sharpness, and not the sharpness is always the answer. And in this particular case, you can tell because I'm photographing the opposite camera on the chair there. So if you look real close, you can see the camera on the chair. But once you really, like, okay, so this one shouldn't be this easy to tell because for whatever reason, I'm able to soft press the shutter on this giant, I forget what this thing weighed, but it weighed plenty, multiple pound camera. Like to soft press this with a big mirror slap and everything else and holding this big dumb thing like way the heck out here versus I should be able to just soft press this and not shake it like an idiot, but somehow I manage to shake it like an idiot every time. This one, again, you can manual focus. So I zone focused all of these images, but I did cheat for a couple and zone focus closer, right? The camera's set at f11, so I can just, if I look at my little zone focus here, it's like, okay, take infinity to f11, and that means that everything from just under 2 meters to infinity is in focus. That's a lot. But if I want to be closer than that, and I know that something is 2 meters away, I can go from something that's a meter away to 2 meters. Whatever. So, yeah, the SRT is really winning there. This is another one of those shots that shouldn't have come out like this. Like, I really did expect this little baby camera to be quite a bit sharper in this specific scenario. I've done this shot before. And I think it's probably because I'm focusing so much on holding this camera steady that it ends up like, oh yeah, okay, get the shot and make it steadier. I don't know, dude. This is zone focus cheating again. This one I thought was really telling. One, it is a bit wider, but our skin tones are far brighter and sharper and better looking on the image on the left than they are on the Reto. And I don't know how or why that is, but it looks real good. Like color rendition more or less is the same. We're using Negative Lab Pro to invert these scans, so it has its ups and downs. Like holding a 2-pound whatever camera, insert weight here, that far away from me in order to get that shot, and then holding a camera that weighs nothing and still managing to screw it up, astonishing. It's just better. But is it $250 better? I guess that depends. If your goal is portability and like catching the moment and making memories and, you know, putting stuff on Instagram that's clearly got a filmy vibe, you probably get away with the little baby one. And that's what I use all the time. If your goal is like technically sharp photos that are a little bit wider and definitely look better and maybe a little bit brighter, and then yeah, obviously the expensive camera is going to get it done. I personally don't want to carry this frickin' thing around. It's ridiculous. Like just holding it here is like, you know, getting your workout on. It's silly. This one I didn't hate, actually, on the Reto. I like the higher contrast. And I don't mind a little bit of vignette. That doesn't hurt me none. I actually prefer, so if you look at the corner of this shot, what is this? Tokina 17mm is being really gentle about a lot of this flare, but there is very clearly a bit of flare from the many elements. Whereas if you look at one of the shots that is not in this list of images, but we'll pull one up here. If you look at the rainbow that you sort of get out of what happens when you point this camera straight into the sun in that bottom corner, it's more summer, it's more mellow, it's more vibes, tones, man, rather than like the very sharp, like basically where you go to Photoshop and hit render lens flare, which I've never done in my whole life and certainly would never do in a giant print. That's what this looks like, which is cool, but it's not really what I'm after. Anyway, I think that was a fun experiment. Obviously, the more expensive one does a better job, but I'm far more likely to leave this thing in the car and ignore it versus stuffing this in my pocket or my pouch or my beer koozie / whatever and just carrying it with me everywhere I go and snapping photos. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for joining me for this very strange comparison. If you want to get your paws on an SRT 101, the camera I used in this video has sold already. In the couple of days that it took for us to finish that first shoot, get the film developed, and be here right now, that camera sold. I have another one that's a little broken, but more importantly, since SRT 101s are everywhere, get the Tokina 17mm, and that will get you to this place. This lens that I have right here on this camera in front of me is still for sale for $200. So if you would like it, hit us in the old comment. No, don't hit us in the comments. Hit us a DM at Flagstaff Camera on Instagram, because I'll actually pay attention to that. People on the internet are mean, and I've quit paying attention to the comments on YouTube. Not all of you are mean. Many of you are very nice people. But sometimes people are mean, and I get triggered and angry and violent when I read people telling me that I'm a dumbass or that my hair looks stupid or that I suck at photography. So I just sort of don't read them anymore. Alex reads them. So if you want to say hi to Alex in the comments, say, "Hi, Alex." Tell him how handsome he is. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We have plenty of these Retos for sale. Shop.hiddenlightllc.com.